Oppenheimer is written and directed by Christopher Nolan and stars Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer. This film tells the story of the American scientist and his role that he played in creating the atomic bomb which ended World War II. Now, I've been a big fan of Christopher Nolan. I love the Dark Knight trilogy, Memento, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk. Tenet is pretty good, but not among his best films. He is a very versatile film director that can do no wrong most of the time. Tenet. But overall, as a filmmaker, I have not seen a film of his that I didn't at least enjoy. I never disliked any of his movies at this point. I think he is a film director with some of the best ideas for originality, at least for modern blockbuster entertainment. He is incredible, and I love him as a director and a writer, and I really admire his practicality. Like, it's just, it makes me take a deep breath in knowing that this director is willing to do almost anything that he can to make sure practical effects are used, and he does it again here. Oppenheimer is just absolutely fantastic, and a return to form for him as a film director after what happened with Tenet. And I think a lot of that is due to the performances and the directing of the film. The direction of this movie is a bit out of order. There's a lot of scenes that take place during different times, and you could tell by the usage of black and white scenes and normal color scenes, to where we see that the black and white stuff is like the future stuff after the bomb, and everything that's in color is during Oppenheimer's life and leading up to the creation of the atomic bomb. And I think it worked well enough with the story visually for us to understand which period in time we are in without having it be confusing. I think in terms of the visual language of the film, that direction there, I think worked pretty well. And it was visually pleasing to me. I think the look of the film and how it was shot was done very well, especially the fact that it is all done practically, like no CGI effects. Even all the visuals of the bomb during the film that's in Oppenheimer's mind that haunts him throughout. Done practically. Somehow. I don't understand how, but how he got these visuals, especially the atomic bomb at the end. I am flabbergasted. How did he do this? I cannot wait to look behind the scenes of this film and just see how much work they put into these visuals, because this is one of the best looking films I've seen this year, cinematography wise and visual effects. Like, everything about this film felt so epic and real, and it's mostly a movie where a bunch of people talk. But it's all about the bomb. It's all about what it can mean for humankind. And it leads to a lot of emotional moments with characters, especially J. Robert Oppenheimer, and how much of a toll this project is taking on him. And we see a lot of good sides to his character and a lot of bad sides to his character. We don't sympathize with him, but we understand him. It creates such an interesting layer for a main character that we don't particularly enjoy watching, especially because of what the ramifications of creating such a device eventually did. But at the same time, the movie explores a lot of moments in history in which some things are just out of his control, and it takes a toll on him for the worst, to where you understand and in some ways sympathize with him, but you're always conflicted about the character. But to me, it was actually a breath of fresh air to see a main character that wasn't perfect or was flawed, but was so deeply flawed, but you're still able to understand him and what he's going through, it creates such an interesting point of view for us as the audience to witness all these events occur, especially some of the decision makings behind how they want to use the bomb, and just how much of a dick the American government was in terms of what they wanted to do with this and where they wanted to drop this thing. Like, you can't believe some of the decisions they make and just how heartless some of these people really are. This is a very grim movie that doesn't shy away from a lot of the dark aspects of humanity. It was honestly horrifying, and some of the closest to horror that Christopher Nolan has ever done. I think second behind Joker and The Dark Knight. The direction, as I said, was beautiful. All the sets and locations were filmed beautifully. The music by Ludwig Göransson was bone-chilling. He is slowly starting to become one of my favorite modern composers, reaching up the ranks of Hans Zimmer and John Williams, in my opinion. He's becoming that good with Black Panther, with Tenet, with Creed, you name it. This guy is a fantastic composer, and I really love his music in this movie. It really did haunt me. The performances all around the board are great. Cillian Murphy is fantastic as J. Robert Oppenheimer and brings a lot of emotion to the character, a lot of passion to him being a scientist, and he was just all around fantastic in much of the scenes in which he's interacting with so many other people and is trying to contain his standpoint and what he believes. But there are times where he does feel like a naive kid because everyone is just clamoring their opinions and views on him and what things should have been like and how things should have turned out like. And it all takes a toll on him, and you can feel that throughout Cillian's performance. He did such a good job here. Emily Blunt is absolutely great as his wife and doesn't really serve as the cliched wife that's there to support J. Robert Oppenheimer. At times she does, but there are other times where she takes a stand for herself into becoming more of an independent character, but never in a way that feels very Hollywoodized. She genuinely felt like a real person that has strong beliefs in what is going on with the making of this bomb, and how much of an effect it's taken on her husband, and just how much of an effect it's taking on their relationship. Overall, the performance all around the board, I can't think of a bad one. Not even Robert Downey Jr. gave a phoned-in performance, and he had not the most screen time out of everybody. And he still stole the show. He was absolutely fantastic in the film as sort of an antagonistic presence for Oppenheimer here, and someone who really is full of himself and really wants the best publicity for himself. It really does further shine a light on a lot of awful people that are behind the creation of this bomb. It makes you look at the victory that we had in World War II so much as, what's the point? More people got killed, especially innocent people that had nothing to do with the war. And it creates such a somber ending at the film that I'm not going to spoil, but if you read a history book, you know what happens. And it really did get you, not in the feels, but in a way that makes you scared about what would happen if we used such a device again, and how unsafe we truly are, even when we don't know it. Like, we have so much privilege, especially people who work well for a living, living in nice houses. It's horrifying to think that all this that we have, that we take for granted, can be gone in an instant. Like, this really was a horrifying film to watch. It's not a horror movie, but it terrifies me more than most horror films because of the ramifications of such a device that we've created. And that, to me, is what solidified this film as being one of Christopher Nolan's best in terms of themes, in terms of story, in terms of writing, performance-wise, visual effects, pacing. This never dragged. There was never a boring moment. In fact, I would have loved to learn more about this story. I wish this movie would have been a bit longer, but I understand that it needed to be exactly 3 hours so that I could have enough screens for theaters to play in. And I think what they're able to put in this film worked well enough to be its own thing. Overall, I cannot think of a single problem. It doesn't have the audio quality that Tenet had. It actually had good audio quality. I could understand all the characters are saying. Like, I cannot think of a single thing that was inherently wrong. Maybe a few scenes could have been trimmed down a little bit. Maybe some of the music could have calmed down a bit. Like, sometimes the music can be overbearing at times. I would have loved to see the film go for a more quieter moment here and there. Oppenheimer is one of my favorite Christopher Nolan films of all time, and one of my favorite films of the entire year. It is some of the most interesting visuals I've seen. It has some of the most interesting characters I've seen this year. It has some of the most interesting moments to witness throughout the entire... Oh my god. In watching it in 70mm IMAX, I'm floored. It was absolutely amazing. And my theater literally did blow up from the atomic bomb. Oppenheimer is a fantastic movie, and I'm going to give it an A+. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.